Deep within my soul, there has always been this yearning dream, a calling from a higher source. As I walked through my life, I met a man named John who had the same dream. Light continued to shine the path of this journey, showing us each step of the way and urging us to keep going. When we first met, we had the dream, but the land we needed to create this dream wasn't obtainable. We decided to start living the pieces of the dream we could, integrating them into our lives. In our first apartment, we had a 10 by 10 patio that we set up 25 5-gallon buckets. We planted tomatoes, cucumbers, pole beans, and lettuce on a shelf. We put up a hummingbird feeder, a bird feeder, and along with our 2 chairs plunked amidst the buckets, we watched our container garden grow and enjoyed the various wildlife that would visit us. We had 2 visiting doves that we fondly named David and Donna. Then they had a son we named Davy. On the day Davy was to learn to fly, we had an icy rainstorm and Davy wasn't budging. We brought him inside and put him in a box to warm him. Fortunately, the temperatures were much warmer the next day and we returned Davy outside. Donna worked with Davy to fly, and soon David was defending the territory to signal to Davy to find his own way. A few years later, we moved to a rental house, but there wasn't enough sun to create a garden, so we asked a neighbor if we could grow a small garden on the old sod farm. They agreed. We set up an electric fence using a solar-powered source to keep the deer and wild turkeys out. We grew many more vegetables. We carted water down in a 50-gallon drum daily to water the plants. That first year we grew enough to share and put up for the winter. The neighbor behind us had chickens that would come down to visit us, particularly Agnes. Agnes would wait for us outside the patio door for us to come out and have a cup of coffee. She would be sitting on the back of the chairs waiting for us to come home from work, just to hang out. Soon, we learned Agnes was an August. He ran excitedly up the hill one morning, poised himself to let out a few squeaky cock-a-doodle-doos, informing us of his new name. During that time, I learned to make homemade soap, to bake sourdough bread, and we learned about canning and preserving food. We expanded our knowledge of gardening every season so that we could one day grow a large garden. After a few years, our yearning for the homestead life grew more intense again, so we began to search for a home with a larger piece of land with it. Eventually, we bought a house with 3/4 of an acre. We were thrilled to have a large garden. It seemed like a lot of room to us at the time, and we set about growing vegetables. We've enjoyed the many species of wildlife, but we still had the dream of living on a homestead with acreage. Every year, we would travel to a different location that we thought might be what we were looking for. We live near Wisconsin, so of course we travel to Wisconsin, and we absolutely love Wisconsin. Rolling hills and pastures, corn and wheat and cheese. They have wonderful cheese. But we thought as we get older, we didn't want to bear through the winters, which can be quite cold and quite long. So we took a trip, actually 2 trips, down to Tennessee and Kentucky. Also very beautiful country, and we absolutely love the Smoky Mountains. There's nothing more glorious waking up in the morning and seeing the mountains with the mist coming up out of the ground and through the trees. But we ruled that out. We weren't sure quite why, but it just wasn't quite a fit. Kentucky is also another beautiful state that we traveled through. We also took a couple of trips to Arkansas and visited several places in that area. some places around Hot Springs, Fayetteville, Bentonville, Fort Smith, and a few other places like that. But yet still, it didn't quite fit the bill for us. The last couple of years, we've been exploring Missouri, and we've been through many parts of Missouri, and one of the places that we were most intrigued by was an area called Jane. Unfortunately, not very many places go up for sale in Jane. Jane is just north of Fayetteville, Arkansas, which is a beautiful, beautiful city, and has a wonderful University of Arkansas campus on it and many, many wonderful amenities. We also looked around the Lake of the Ozarks and also around Branson. And then we had made the determination that where we wanted to be was somewheres in southern Missouri. Recently, we came upon 80 acres and immediately jumped for the opportunity to have a special place where we can expand our garden of sustainable homestead living. Our realtor took his side-by-side over to the property and met the owner of the property and showed us through FaceTime and gave us a tour. During that tour, the owner said, "Well, this is the 50, but I've got 30 acres adjacent to the property if you'd be interested." And we both were just so surprised and so delighted. We immediately said yes. And the bonus points, he said, "I'll throw in the bulldozer too," which we ended up buying separately. Very excitedly, we couldn't wait, and 3 weeks later we closed on our property. And here we are. It's nearly 10 hours away from here, so our life will be changing dramatically. We will be sharing our adventures, and we hope you will join us. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, and share, and keep on living your dream.